The 5 things to look for if your adolescent, young adult, is involved in alcohol, drugs, or other dangerous things. It's the folks from Powell, Unity Point, today live on Restoring Hope Live.
Taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope. Open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Okay, welcome. It is a gorgeous day in the neighborhood, as my friend Bill would say. And we are live here on RestoringHopeLive.com and WebcastOneLive.com, brought to you by the good folks at Unity Point. Powell CDC, Chemical Dependency Group. My co-host Lila is in the house, along with Bob Montserrat. Now, you got out of jury duty to get here. How'd you get out of jury duty?
I just had the wrong number, or right number, however you want to say.
Okay.
I did have to go down there and wait for 4 hours, and then they let us go. But I have to call in tomorrow and see if they want to use me Wednesday.
Oh, so you're on the jury.
I'm on. Well, they appointed
jury panel,
and they'll choose from the panel that they have.
Right. And if she doesn't want to get on, she just has to say she knows me.
Yeah.
Well, you want to know the truth?
Yeah.
Tell them you co-host a weekly radio program and you'll immediately be let off jury duty. Now,
really?
They may check on it, as they should. I'm having this conversation live so anybody can hear this. But if you're an active member of the media, they don't want you on a jury pool. You're not trustworthy.
Oh.
You're gonna choose your job allegiance long before you're gonna choose that jury allegiance.
Oh.
And I discovered this the hard way a few years ago. I was on a jury, and I got on the radio the next morning and started talking about the case.
Ooh.
And
yeah, that's a no-no.
I got called and got heck given to me, and I said, listen, you don't understand. What I do on the radio is much more important that you're prosecuting an OW. It was an OWI, too. You're prosecuting an OWI. I don't care about that. So I was immediately removed.
Yeah.
But anyway. All right, welcome. Annie Molden is here. Did I get it right that time?
Yep.
I didn't even write it down. And I was just saying this off air, but I want to say it on air. I listened to the show that you did a couple weeks ago with us. Man, you're good. And I don't mean you're good on the radio. I pictured myself having you tell me what a screw-up I am and why I need to get into treatment and why I'm going to get zero tolerance and why this isn't funny and this isn't something we're going to mess around with because your life's on the line. And I'm just listening to her on the radio going, shoot, she's a little D or
Absolutely.
a big D, whatever you want to look at it. Anyway, you did very well. Congratulations. You've learned your craft very well. Now today, and we're talking about, is it called the Adolescent Program?
Yes.
Adolescent Recovery Program.
All right, Adolescent Recovery Program. And tell me the ages.
High school age-ish. Going in, just coming out of high school. I mean, we're pretty open, but
it's basically 13 to 20?
13 to 19.
19? Okay.
And we aren't automatically going to take somebody who's 19 or over 18, but that's if they're, just getting out of high school, if they're still in high school, if they're just not appropriate for the adult program, we'll take them.
Okay. And they go through the same stuff everybody else does. They go through a what do you call that? It's not a survey. It's a
Evaluation.
assessment. They go through an assessment, and then you determine based on what they tell you in that assessment of whether you can help them or not.
The care managers do.
The care managers.
And it would be if we have the level of care that's appropriate for them is what they determine.
Okay. How do I ask this? What if, do you know what an EGR is?
No.
Okay. I'm an EGR. Lila's an EGR. It stands for, you know what it stands for?
Yeah.
Extra grace required. Okay. So, bat feces nuts, bubble off plum, little hard to deal with, really high energy, ADD, all that stuff. Does that play into the assessment when you assess them? I mean, does the survey person know to look for that stuff, or are they simply checking off boxes on a sheet?
No, they're absolutely going to be, I mean, I think anyone coming in for a drug and alcohol evaluation is going to be EGR a little bit.
Extra grace required.
Yeah.
That wasn't insult. You didn't take that as an insult, did you?
No.
Okay, yeah. Like, Bob, you're not an EGR.
No, but I have to replace it on the car every so often.
You have to what?
Replace the EGR valve on the car.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I don't know what that is. Emissions.
Exhaust.
Okay. So when you get an adolescent put in front of you, okay, why has that person come to you? Most likely. What is it? Gender? Is it age? Is it a specific addiction? Is it you're the third one in and you take every three?
No, any young person coming in for treatment's going to encounter me at some point.
Okay.
So none of that. It's just any young person's going to encounter me.
And at what point do they encounter you?
Whenever I find them.
When what?
Whenever I find them, usually.
She is the program, basically. I mean, she's the head of the program.
Okay.
So when people go from the assessment point into treatment, they'll meet Annie right away.
All right. So you're the counselor
Yes.
as well as the head of the program.
Yes, she is. I'll talk for her.
Okay, yeah, help me out here, because, I mean, you're not the head of the program.
No.
You're a counselor. How often does the head of your program counsel?
Well, actually, I'm the head of aftercare, but
But like her, you do the groups.
yeah, I'm...
Some of them.
Yeah,
Not all of them.
right.
But you do all of them?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So, I'm 17, and I show up in front of you, and I smoke a little doobie and steal my old man's whiskey. I'm irreverent. I'm arrogant. I'm not a nice boy. I don't make girls or other people comfortable around me because you know this, but I don't, that I'm so insecure that I've just got to push back. Mm-hmm. How do you get somebody like me to settle into a program? Because I'm not a follower, I'm a leader. But at 17, I'm out of control. And I'm only here because Dad made me. It was either this or military school. How do you tackle somebody with that level of, my word, not yours, brokenness?
Well, just show them that we're broken too. I guess, I don't know. Give them something to lead. If the kid's good with, you find out what he's good at, and he'll tell you.
Okay.
And then let him lead. If he's good at art, or he's the best at art, he does graffiti or something like that, turn it into a positive and let him teach the other kids how to do it. Okay.
And what is that built to do? What is that aimed to do for him, for me?
To make him feel like he has a purpose.
Okay.
And once he feels accepted, then he might listen to what we have to say.
Well, it's turning all that negative energy into something positive so that he
Okay.
can actually work with other people. And he's probably, by the time he gets to Powell, he's probably had everybody and their uncle on him really mad because he's been getting in trouble and he's
Right.
not in good graces with very many people. So just the idea that Annie can find something good about him would one little thing would be overwhelming to him probably.
Affirmation.
Yeah, because he probably, or she, has not heard that in a long time.
But isn't it true that most of the people that go there, the kids, they don't trust anybody? And so you have to build trust?
Yeah, you got to earn their trust. And that's where let him see that we're human. Let him see that we're a little broken too. All of us as individuals, as a whole. Just let them see that. Let them see that we're human. Laugh with them.
Do they usually or initially reject your approach?
Every time.
Every time.
It would be like someone coming into a room and folding their arms in front of you and go, okay, make me believe whatever you're saying.
Okay.
I mean, and so, but I'll tell you, I think it's an advantage when you're someone like Annie or me that have been there and done it. And so they're going to listen more. It's like, okay, they've done, I'm not so unusual with them. or maybe their parents have never drank or used drugs, and so they're the odd man out at home. But when they're in front of us, it's like, we've been there, we've done that. It's, we're still going to accept you.
Annie Molden is my guest today. She is the head of the Adolescent Recovery Program that Powell has just implemented 6 months ago?
About a year ago.
About a year ago, okay. And it is a pilot program. If it works, you're going to see it everywhere, because we, meaning the recovery community, I meaning me now, we are finding more and more and more need to have 13 to 18, 19-year-olds start thinking about their actions and what they're doing out there. And unfortunately, I'll say this, you don't have to agree, but if you agree, I'd like you to tell me. No, that didn't come out right. I think the government schools, which you and I grew up calling them the public schools, I think the government schools have failed our children on emotional stability, learning to put their big boy and big girl pants on and growing up and being responsible for themselves. And you got parents who are not supporting that at all, and you've got government schools which are led by well, I'm sorry, I'm going to get into political talk here. I don't want that. I'm sorry, Lila. But I just think what you're doing is really necessary, because I think it's failing every single where else. Would you agree?
No.
No? Okay, tell me.
I think that what we're doing is great, but I think that there are absolutely schools, and there are people in those schools that care about the kids just like I do and do the same thing for them just like I do. Absolutely.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I work at the alternative school, and you've never seen such a caring school.
No.
I mean, the principal knows these kids. I mean, they call her by her first name. They're everybody's friends in there. They really, really care about each other. It's unbelievable.
Okay, that's nice to know. I have 3 grandkids in government schools, and I don't see that.
When did you start calling it government school?
Right. Right.
Well, that's an old political term that I used when I did political talk shows.
Yeah.
I stopped calling them public schools 20 years ago because they're government-run schools.
Yeah.
They can do things with our children that I can't. Mm-hmm. I can't even do some of the things that they can do.
Like what?
Well, if I want to, well, you caught me. I'd have to think about that for a while. I know that as a grandparent, if I touch my child incorrectly, and I don't mean sexually, I just mean paddle them on the behind, if my child or grandchild knows anything about how the system works, they can call DHS, and they could be removed from my home. And the school would come in and support that, rather than saying, that kid's a pain in the butt. If we could beat him on the butt, we'd beat him too. He needs to be settled down, and whatever his father's doing, and if it's not if it wasn't abusive in the 60s, then it's not abusive today. Well, I don't know about you. Did you ever get paddled by the principal? I got paddled by the principal when I was, 5th grade. When I was in the 4th grade, my teacher tied me to a chair because I wouldn't sit down long enough.
Yeah, I had my mouth taped once.
Yeah, me too. And they could never do that nowadays.
Yeah.
The schools couldn't. And if we tried to do that at our homes, and they turned us into DHS, the school has no responsibility to tell them what that child is like in school unless they're being unless they're disturbed by what may be happening at home. Anyway, we won't go down that road anymore. Sorry. You got me on my political thing here. All right, so here's what I want to talk about when we come back. And I don't need to put a number on it. I said 5 before we sat down. But I want to help those parents and grandparents listening out there to say, how do I know if my child or my grandchild, my niece, my nephew, my great-aunt, how do I know these people are involved in these type of activities outside of school and outside of church and outside of home? We'll talk to Annie Molden. We'll do that when we come back. The Adolescent Recovery Program being featured here today live on RestoringHopeLive.com.
father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
21 minutes after the hour, good afternoon. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Restoring Hope Live, brought to you by the good folks at Powell CDC, who are trying to make a difference in people's lives, which is really difficult to do sometimes because of all the bureaucracy that surrounds us through parents and schools and churches and insurance companies. And, you know, sometimes we just want to push all that away and just plop our kid down in front of somebody we can trust and say, help me. I'm afraid I'm losing my son or my grandson or my granddaughter or my niece or my nephew. And we've got two people in the studio today that are the best people that I know, or two of the best people that I know. When you go, I'm done, I can't handle it anymore. I'm at my wit's end. You've heard of that term, I'm at my wit's end? Okay, there's a sign up and it says wit's end, and it hangs on your child's neck. You're done. That's it. You don't have any idea what to do anymore. And then the calmness and the professionalism of the folks at Powell step in, and somehow you get a glimpse. Maybe it's just a little sunlight, but it's light. And everything else is dark. And it's that little bit of light that says, okay, maybe somebody can make a difference. Annie Molden is my guest. She's the head of the Adolescent Recovery Program, dealing basically with kids 13 to 19, somewhere in that. When I grew up, Mom and Dad would look for blurred eyes, the smell of my mom and dad were convinced that if I smoked cigarettes, I must be doing something else. And so for some reason, I never took up cigarettes. I just didn't do it. Nowadays, it's a lot different. What are we seeing out of kids age 13 through 18, and you can begin at the younger age, that parents and grandparents aren't catching?
I would say, it's a lot of the same stuff that it's always been.
Okay.
So some of the first things would be like withdrawing, isolating, or a change in group of friends. That would be one big one, and that's something that's always been around.
Yeah.
If they come home with blurred eyes or they're bloodshot, or maybe they come home and go straight to their room. And the thing is that I don't want anyone to take this and diagnose their child or somebody they love with alcoholism or drug addiction. Though just one of these things doesn't necessarily mean, your kid's an alcoholic. It could easily mean if they get home from school and they go straight to their room and they don't come out, they're being a teenager. But a combination of these things and that gut feeling, the feeling in your gut that says, something's going on, something's wrong.
I always tell people that
Trust
pay
it.
attention to your intuition.
Absolutely.
Because we don't want our kids doing that stuff, so we can almost talk ourselves out of it.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen that before too. Now, what about the he's just 15 and going through stuff? He's got a new friend and they bought a what are those things called? Vapes?
Oh yeah, for the e-cigarettes?
Yeah, the e-cigarettes. I'd be thankful he's not smoking tobacco or weed. But some parents would freak out about it.
Maybe he is not around you.
Yeah, well, and that might be. What about, Annie, maybe this is a question you wouldn't have an answer for, but should parents have unlimited and free access to their teenagers' rooms?
I'm not a parent.
Okay.
So there's that. But I don't know. My parents, if I didn't want them to find it, I didn't keep it in my room.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I know it would have caused a huge just household rumble. Like I would have torn the place apart if my dad would have been like, I'm stripping down your room. I'm looking through everything. As he did do that once, but I wasn't home. So, and I had to clean up the mess. But if they would have told me that beforehand, even if I didn't have anything to hide, I would have terrorized my household. And so I guess I'm not sure how worth it. It all depends on the household, but I'm not sure my parents would have wanted to fight me on it, because they could go through my room, and if that feeling in their gut is still there, it's not going to give them any peace.
Mm-hmm. They're just going to think it's somewhere else.
Right.
Here's the deal. The way you're talking is like the parents become the police. And the kids, something's wrong with the kids. And if you had a really good relationship with your kids, you don't have to be the police.
Yeah, but and you're lucky, because I know both your kids, and you have a really good relationship with them. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm very familiar with another family, and these are really good parents. But the relationship at age 14, 15, and 16 kind of went out the window because Junior wanted to start doing stuff his way, and Mom was like, no, we have rules. And the old adage, if you live under my roof, then these are the rules. You can't just let all those rules go out the window. Mm-hmm. Can you?
No, but you really have to be careful about who your kids are running around with. That's huge.
Yeah.
And at that age, their peers are a big. The most important thing to a teenager is to be part of something, part of a group. And if you don't like the kids they're running with, I don't think you will you have to steer them in the right direction. Maybe some new activities, and another sign is if they don't want to do any activities anymore.
Yeah, they don't want to hang with the family.
Yeah, or, well, not just the family. Most teenagers don't want to hang with family anyway, but like if they were always into swimming and now all of a sudden they want to quit swimming. They just didn't want to do that.
Were you, now Bob, I know you were. Do you remember the show that we did when Joe Mintz said, watch out for the new kid in town? And I got a call from the mother the following Tuesday. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're on the national show, and Joe says, just watch out for the new kid in town. Switch your head to Indiana. And there's a mother and a teenage son, and dad's off serving. This is a real couple, by the way. And dad's off serving in Afghanistan. And this kid's a pretty good kid, 14, 15 years old, right about that age you and I always talk about. And one day, mom somehow finds out that he's looking at children's pornography on the computer. And so she called her husband in Afghanistan and said, what do you want to do? And he said, why don't you just wait till I get home, because she's kind of freaking out. And for some reason or whatever, she decided to very nicely, and I don't want to use the word confront, because I think she just sat down and asked him, I'm not going to make any judgments on you right now, son, but I just want to understand, where did you find out about this? Tommy showed me. Well, Tommy was a new kid in town, just like you said, Lila. Know who your kids are running around with. And so the mother decided, for whatever reason, to call Tommy's mom and be very non-confrontational, but just say, if my kid's lying, he's lying. I just want you to know what he said, because as a mother, I'd want to know if my child was looking at child pornography. The Tommy's mom was really nice about it and said, well, thank you. We just moved here, da-da-da-da-da. Tell me if I get this story wrong, but I think I got it right so far. So Tommy's mom calls her stepsister, much older stepsister. They were not raised by the same grandfather. She says to her older stepfather, Tommy's looking at pornography. And she says, well, ask him where he got that idea. And so she asked him, and he said, Grandpa.
Oh.
Well, when Tom's mom told her that, the sister broke down into tears, because Tommy's mom, have I lost you yet?
Is Tommy the original guy or the friend?
Tommy's a new kid in town.
Okay.
Tommy's mom was not raised around that grandpa because there was a divorce.
Oh.
But the daughter had been sexually abused by this grandfather. The much older sister had been sexually abused.
Whoa.
Many, many, many years ago. And so Joe's comment, watch out for the new kid in town, ended up in Indiana bringing this case to the forefront. And these little boys were probably hopefully saved from a lifetime of horrible pornography. And Grandpa went to jail, or at least he was arrested.
Yeah.
So I think what you just said is very powerful. New kid in town. Who are they hanging around with, and are their habits changing when the new kid's in town? Now, do you ask those kids over for dinner? Do you ask their parents over for a backyard barbecue so you get to know the parents as well as the kids? Or is that just way too Ozzie and Harriet?
In raising my kids, I knew all of their friends' parents, and we had parties at our house all the time, so I would get to know them on a first-name basis, and I felt like they were my friends, so that we were all on the same page about things.
Do you ever recall some parents, a set of parents, pushing back on that and saying that you were you were out of line? You're spying on your kids?
No, the group outside of my kids ran with a certain group, and the kids outside that group, those parents who I knew would thought I was way too strict, or because I didn't allow liquor in my house, and they would, but I.
Okay, but not allowing liquor in your house, that doesn't. Would you be defined today as a helicopter parent?
Yes, if you ask my kids, they would say that.
Okay. Do you find that as a part of some of these kids that show up in your rooms, Annie, that they've been so watched by their parents that they're just rebelling every way they can?
I don't think they're overwatched by their parents and they're rebelling in every way they can. I think I've seen a few cases where parents had very high expectations of their child and put a lot of pressure on them. So that's one thing. But I don't think it's necessarily out of strictness. Kids, it's so cliche, but kids want boundaries. Kids want rules.
And when they don't get them, then they make them up by themselves?
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I mean, my father, I never had to be home at a certain time at night. And I may have said this before on this show, but it was embarrassing to me because all the other girls and guys had hours. And so I'd be the last one in the car driving around with a bunch of guys. And it was like, I would just sense that this isn't right. I shouldn't be doing this. So I say, oh, my dad said I had to be home at midnight.
If you could go back and change that, would you have wished your parents, your father had given you those restrictions?
Well, knowing, I don't know, because I don't like rules.
I can relate.
I'm going to contradict.
Annie Maldwin is my guest. My co-host, of course, is Lila Coco Stafford. By the way, who eats out loud in your family?
Who what?
Who munches out loud and breathes heavy?
Nobody in my family does now because I won't allow it. You saw that on Facebook.
I saw it on Facebook. When we come back, what are some of the other signs? Signs everywhere. There's signs. Signs that maybe your kids or grandkids are going the wrong way. We'll be back live on RestoringHopeLive.com, powered by Webcast One Live.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
All right, welcome back. Restoring Hope Live here on webcast1live.com and The Truth. 99.3, we sure appreciate you spending some time with us today. I know that there are lots of things you can choose from to watch or listen to. I discovered Netflix this weekend. Now, I've had Netflix for a couple of years, but it's always been finding that one odd movie that I can't find anywhere else. And I had Friday off and didn't do much on Saturday and then didn't do much on Sunday and watched 17 episodes of House of Cards.
Were you just worn out?
Huh?
Were you worn out at all?
After watching them?
Yeah. Just from sitting and kind of being a couch potato?
No, not really. Not really. Just me and the puppies.
I've done those marathon watching before, and I don't feel good afterwards.
No, I felt good. All right, tell me about the Adolescent Aftercare Program.
Okay, so when when Annie's done with her group of kids that they go through treatment and then they do continuing care with her, then we have an aftercare program which is free to for these kids that I call them kids, but they're all the way through their 20s too. Because we're inviting people in their 20s that have gone through Powell as well to aftercare, and it's different than a 12-step meeting because you get feedback from each other. And we have 3 guys in there that are just really, really good examples for newly sober people. And they talk about their feelings and talk, just about life. And what is said there stays there and become really good friends. It's going to be a good group.
What stays there, what says there stays there. I've found out in my 12-step recovery program that there are some people that they can't follow that for the life of them.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody who knows the rules will come up to me later and say, well, I just want you to know that in this Bible study or over this water cooler or over this beer at this bar, this guy was saying something that you said in a 12-step meeting. Are kids any better at that? Or is that just a characteristic of a user, of an addiction?
I think it depends how it's presented to them and how often it's. I mean, at every meeting or every group, if you bring it up and talk about it, then they're reminded of that. But the way I present it is, everyone needs a safe place to go talk, and these kids in this room, just like they do, they need a safe place where and you don't want anyone else to know about that stuff, and you can't necessarily trust your friends with that information, and this is one place that you can come and talk and feel safe. And but you'll always have, not always, but I think there's people that sometimes may say something and not even know that they're really doing it.
I mean, I don't remember the last time in a 12-step meeting I heard what says here stays here. I mean, I know that's the rule, but I can't recall the last time I was reminded of that.
And I think maybe it should be said a little more often.
Yeah. Maybe that should be in the...
there's only one rule. It's Rule 62.
What's that?
Don't take yourself too darn seriously.
And where does that come from?
The big book.
Okay. Is that on page 62?
No, I don't think it's on 62. It might actually be from the 12 by 12.
Okay.
But who you hear here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let it stay here. You will hear that in meetings and with our kids pretty often. And I think that when people go into any kind of 12-step or anonymous meeting, I mean, it's part of the name is anonymous. And we also have to protect ourselves as far as if there's some deep, dark thing that I need to talk about or share or whatever it is, then maybe with a group of 15 people might not be the place to do it, or 30 or 150.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that I need to work through and talk about with someone like a sponsor or a counselor rather than just blurt it out at a meeting. And, in a meeting, no one's going to give you feedback. No one's going to talk to you, that there isn't crosstalk, things like that. But maybe it's something that needs to be shared one-on-one.
Annie Malden is my guest. She's the head of the Adolescent Recovery Program at Powell CDC. Here's a question for you. Is there a specific characteristic, and there may be a dozen of them, but is there one specific characteristic that you could share with me that you see in a newcomer and you know they're not going to make it? They've got an attitude. They've got, I don't know what it is.
I've got one.
If they don't make it to the meetings or to treatment.
Okay.
I think that's the only thing. If they're not doing it, they're not doing it. But I've been around long enough to know that whatever my predictions are, there's no way of knowing who's going to make it and who isn't.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Is that something that you assess in the beginning?
Whether or not they're going to make it?
Yeah. I mean, the ones that are most likely to make it and the ones that are least likely?
No.
No? What were you going to say? Yeah.
If someone has not surrendered and they try to do stuff their way, continue doing it their way, it's just a harder road for them than if they surrender. So their chances are probably less. Not saying that they can't do it, but I remember when I was in treatment, I wasn't allowed to talk to men for 5 days or something, I don't know. And so I just didn't talk to anyone, so I just sat and observed. And it was very interesting to me. I could tell exactly who was going to be kicked out and who didn't get it. I was right on with all of them. It was very interesting. But they were all ones that wouldn't surrender. They were going to do it their way.
And when you say, I know what you mean when you say surrender, but there's somebody out there listening to this show for the very first time. They find it interesting. Unfortunately, probably relate to some of it, and that's scary to them. And if that's you listening, don't be scared. It's okay. God brought you to this show at this time with these guests, with these words, because he wanted you to hear it from somebody other than somebody else. And now you're hearing it from experts like Annie or Lila or Bob or myself, and you're going, oh, my gosh, okay. So define surrender to somebody out there who doesn't know that other than Cowboys and Indians, and you don't want to give up.
What it means is I can no longer do this myself. I've got to turn this over to a higher power, which for a lot of people would be God. For other people, it might be the group. But I can no longer control this and try to do this my way. I don't have enough information in my head to do it. I don't have the tools to do it. And so I have to turn it over, and it's a relief. I didn't get that at first because, first of all, I wasn't sure about. I always believed in God, but I didn't have a relationship with him. And I'm a control freak. So to turn something over when I'm a control freak was very, very hard for me. And I had to make sure that I understood God before I would turn something over.
Yeah, I know. Well, here, I was just about to tell something that you shared at a meeting once, and I can't do that. But I know I've heard many people say that okay, God, I'll give you this, and I'll give you that, and I'll give you that, but I can't give you this.
Well, that's what I did.
I got to keep a hold of this one.
That was the only way I knew how to do it. To give him my whole life was a little too much. So it's like, I'm going to give you this little piece of my life, and if you do okay, then I'll give you some more.
And that worked for you.
It really did work for me. And it was a starting point for me because I wasn't able to surrender everything.
Have you learned to surrender everything now?
Yes.
Yeah?
Well, I have to keep doing it over and over because I'll pull back my...
A lot of people say you do that every morning when you wake up. That's what you should do.
Yeah. When I wake up, I'm thinking about everything I have to do for the day.
Annie Malden is my guest. She is the head of the Adolescence Recovery Program. We have a new aftercare for the Adolescent Program. And how do people get involved in that?
Call Lila or go through the Adolescent Program.
Okay, but you have to go through the Adolescent Program to be a part of the...
Not necessarily, actually. You go through the Adolescent Program. You could go through Powell, regular Powell if you're a younger person. It's for young adults.
It's people in... 17, 18, 19, and through your 20s. I just felt like we need to have a group where if I put a 20-year-old in with a 40-year-old, they just think, oh, my God, we don't have anything in common. They've got a family, whatever. So we started a 20-some-year group and 17, 18-year-olds. So they all have something in common.
We're coming back. We're live on Restoring Hope Live, brought to you by Powell CDC and Unity Point.
who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
10 minutes for the hour, live at restoringhopelive.com. We might want to remind people that coming up in just a few weeks is the alumni banquet.
Yes, April 18th.
Yep.
It's only $25. That pays for your food, and it's a great evening. Bill Moyers is going to be the speaker.
Okay. And a silent auction.
Silent auction.
Some pretty cool. I've got to figure out something for out of my collection this year to give. Yeah, and that's coming up
and
the 18th.
You get tickets at Powell.
Okay. All right. When we were off the air, Lila, I don't know if you heard it because you were out of the room for a second, Annie, but Lila said one of the reasons she thinks you're successful is because you teach the kids to have fun. Now, is that something that you learned when you were going through treatment? That, well, life's over with. There's never going to be any fun. I'm never going to be acceptable to anybody. And so, therefore, if it was an issue with you, you made sure that it was an issue with your kids that you lead, that they are still going to have fun in life?
Right. Yeah, I just assumed my life was over. I was going to literally die of boredom. I thought that was going to be my life. So.
And in fact, what is your life?
I stay up too late. I don't get enough sleep. I travel more than I ever have. I get to do cool stuff. It's sometimes exhausting, but I have more friends. Like this morning, a girl showed up at my house with Red Bull and orange juice, and we did what we call Monday morning meditation.
Okay.
Where we just hung out. I put curlers in my hair. We danced around my house a little bit, talked about stuff, drank Red Bull, then she left.
Yeah, and that's fun.
Yeah. It doesn't sound fun, especially if you're 16, so you don't have to put curlers in your hair, guys, I swear. But I'm saying at any given time, we do fun, we do awesome, we remember it the next day. And
do you think that comes in part through the spiritual program? That somehow the old habits, they do die, and they're replaced by new friends, new playmates, new playgrounds?
Absolutely. I mean, we learn how to have fun in a different way, but it's still fun. We're talking about a whole, like, if you were to take 5 kids out of your high school that you can remember that were like the ones that jumped off garages or the ones that were just like a bit much.
Yeah.
5 of them.
I resemble that remark.
So do I.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to end up dead, unfortunately. Some of them are going to end up institutionalized. Some of them, a life-changing event is going to tone them down. And then some of them are going to end up in a 12-step program. And just because we're in recovery doesn't mean every personality trait we have goes away. We're still going to want to run around and do cool stuff. And, I mean, we're still going to want to do that same stuff. We just do it a little differently now.
And as we say in recovery, you still have to live life on life's terms. The good and the bad come your way. It's just the tools that we now have to handle those things.
I had to redefine fun because that was my biggest fear, was that I was never going to have fun again. But my fun was associated with being high, and I could never be high enough. So even when I was high, I wanted to get higher.
Yeah.
So, but on the other side of that high was always a definite low that was bad. And the more I drank, the highs and lows were horrible. So I think learning to kind of live in that middle ground a little bit. I don't like being in the middle. It sounds boring to me, but I tell people I still live on the edge, but I live on the edge of the middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need excitement and I like to have fun. But I just do it without drinking or using anymore.
You just don't find yourself the only girl in a car full of boys at midnight anymore.
Right. Which is a good thing.
Unless they're your son and his friends. Yeah. All right. Annie Molden is our guest. She is the head of the Adolescent Recovery Program at Powell CDC. Lila Stafford, my co-host. Bob Montserrat, my co-host. Bob, you've been sitting here fairly quiet, listening to all this, but yet as a forensic scientist, you have way, way too often seen the downside of the bottoms and what can happen to kids who abuse drugs and alcohol. And, what can you lend to this as far as what parents need to look for and what they need to do to make sure their child isn't on that list?
Well, yeah, in my job, we basically do the testing, do the analysis, do the toxicology when somebody overdoses on drugs or alcohol. So we're looking at the end result, trying to figure out, what the levels of drugs were in the system and what killed them. So, we have that gruesome type of task. Or doing the blood work where somebody crashed into people, drunk driving, and destroyed a whole bunch of people. And then we test all their blood. So that's the one aspect. And the other aspect is the crime scene type work when you go on suicides, you go on homicides, and usually drugs and alcohol are almost always involved in it. So, we go out there to try to clean up the mess and try to determine who did it. So, it's very difficult, I think, for parents they don't know all the answers. They don't know what to do. There's some that reach out for help and the help isn't there, or they don't know how to reach out for help, or they're afraid of the kids leaving them, or whatever the case is, and there's so many of them.
And that's a great segue into remembering that you've got some people here you can call to help. As a parent or a grandparent or a pastor's child or a pastor or somebody in the choir or the cubicle, I don't care where you are, you don't know if you know where to turn. And now you do. Powell CDC, 263-2424. Of course, that's area code 515. You can call Lila. You can call Annie. You can call me. Call me and say, will you take me to a 12-step meeting? I don't have a problem, but I want to go to an open meeting of a 12-step program and know that there are other people out there. There are parents out there. Take me to an Al-Anon meeting. Take me to a adolescent recovery aftercare program. Take me somewhere so I can get some ideas how to help this child. Because you love them. You love them beyond what you thought love could be until you were a parent. You never thought it was possible that you could love anyone as much as you love this child, and you are lost, and you are desperate, and you are anxious, and you are sad, and you are broken because you just want to save them. You lay in bed at night, and the worst of all worsts roll through your mind. You got an answer. Powell. It's right here in Des Moines. 263-2424. Ask for Annie. Ask for Lila. Reach out and get the help you need. All right, we'll see you next Monday. Tomorrow, Tom Coates and Will Rogers. And until then, think about somebody you need to forgive, somebody you're carrying a resentment against, somebody you just can't let it go. And give it up to Jesus. We'll see you next time.
Restoring hope.